So it looks like Kobold Press has just released the Project Black Flag first playtest into the wild. There is a PDF available, which I've downloaded. I'm going to be going through that. You can expect me to report on this during this upcoming Sunday's This Week in Tabletop live stream that we do every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. So if you want to tune in for that to hear me talk about it in greater detail, you can. We may go through the PDF a little bit here today. I've got it available here. But mostly I want to look at the Game Rant article because they had some good points to make about this news, and I kind of want to riff on this and go from there. If this is your first time hearing about Black Flag, I kind of feel like if you're here on my channel, you probably already knew about this, but just in case you didn't know what this is one of the several different rule sets that are springing up in the light of the OGL or in the wake of the OGL controversy with Dungeons and Dragons and their 5th edition Chaos. The other being the C7D20 system from Cubicle 7. And there's some other things in the works as well. But in the meantime, let's take a look at what Game Rant has to say about this. By the way, if you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. And if you want to support like all the other amazing people who are here on the channel, there's those things down below, but we'll talk about it more at the end of the video. Says here, third-party Dungeons & Dragons publisher Kobold Press releases the first wave of playtesting for its 5th edition spin-off system, Project Black Flag. So this was something that was announced a few weeks ago during the midst of the OGL chaos, which I thought was going to be something. I thought it was going to be something more of an original system, but it turns off that it's just a spin-off of 5th edition. So they're kind of taking the 5th edition rule set and riffing on it like Cubicle 7 did. So you've got basically the same character creation with some slightly different setups for you to use. The big thing here being the new system, as explained here in Game Rant article, focuses on higher ability scores on average than in 5th edition, and then breaks the character species into lineage and heritage. They also introduce talents, which is basically feats from D&D. And we may do some playtesting, but mostly we're going to be reading through this. I have some initial concern then on this because mostly one of the things that, and this is, I'm a huge fan of 5th edition. Don't get me wrong. My favorite is still 2nd edition AD&D. I grew up, I'm an 80s and 90s kids, but I first started playing on 1st edition, but really got into it when I was in my teens, and that's the version that was available to me, was that revised 2nd edition AD&D stuff. And I love those books. I have all of them. I have the faux red leather bound editions. They're all in storage, but that was the edition that I loved the most. So even though that's my favorite, I did like 5th. Chris found it very easy to get into 5th edition. 5th edition, someone explained it, and I wish I could remember who explained it this way, but I thought it was a brilliant take on things, which is 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons is kind of like, it's like creating a Marvel Avenger character in the D&D space. Like, you're going to be creating a character who's like a superhero. And that's great for people who don't want a lot of challenge and they just want to have fun and kill things and not have a lot of crunchy rules. But this looks to kind of be taking that a step further with expanded ability scores, and kind of making it even easier for characters to have huge hit points, to do huge numbers of damage, and so on and so forth. And I think they might even say that somewhere here in the article. I know my gut reaction is that I was kind of hoping that Kobold Press was kind of be coming out with something new and innovative, and instead it seems like they're just taking 5th edition and riffing on it and creating something that is meant to be blended together with 5th edition, which is the same thing that Cubicle 7 is doing with their C7D20 system. Anyway, says here, Kobold Press is most well known for their founding team members being responsible for making Tyranny of Dragons, which was the first official adventure path for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. Since then, they have published over a dozen third-party products, including Tome of Beasts and the Midgard campaign setting books. I need more coffee so I can learn how to talk. Says here, many fans are excited to see the playtest. I want to see what it is. Here it is. It says, on the other hand, some players are a little disappointed in what they've seen for Project Black Flag so far. These players would rather have seen Kobold Press break further from the 5th edition chassis, hoping that Black Flag would be a truly new system rather than D&D 5th edition with a new coat of paint. that's kind of my take on things, my gut reaction. Now, again, I'm not disparaging this. I think it's great to have new systems coming out, and I think this is going to be something that a lot of people are going to play. I may find my opinion changed as I dig into the PDF and do some playtesting with this, but my gut reaction is that, well, it's basically just a new fifth. You're basically just taking fifth edition and changing the color. I in my this is just my personal opinion, all right? So this is not me crapping on them at all because I like 5th edition. I have been having way more fun learning about Starfinder as an example because I find the Starfinder rules to be a little bit more complex and I like complexity. I have been told that the Pathfinder's 2nd edition is even more complex than the Starfinder, which, as I understand, is kind of like a hybrid of the first edition and second editions because it came out before the second edition of Pathfinder came out. I don't know a lot about Pathfinder because I've never played Pathfinder, right? I've only ever played the two CRPGs from Owlcat Games, so I don't have a lot. I don't have a frame of reference. But from what I have seen of Starfinder, if that's what I could expect from Paizo, my personal take on things is that I'm leaning more towards the Starfinder set for now, and then probably I'm going to end up wanting to play more Pathfinder Second Edition. And with what we're working on with our project, since we stripped the OGL out and made it a system agnostic thing, I may either leave that system agnostic or I may end up making that compatible with the second edition of Pathfinder. I don't know yet, but our project with Weave in the Void is currently system agnostic. Because as much as I like fifth edition, if I'm going to use fifth edition, the SRD is in the wild now. Like I could just go use fifth edition rules. I don't need to use a hybrid system now. I could just use that, which is the most familiar that everyone has. I don't have to use the OGL. I can just pull that from the Creative Commons, make my own fork, and do what I want. So it's a weird thing. I noticed in my quick skimming through here, I'm still wondering what about I don't understand why people are so terrified of using the word race when it comes to describing elves and dwarves and everything else. I'm not one of those people, but they're shying away from it here too, and talking about lineages and what do they call it here? Lineage and heritage. Adventurers can choose to be a human or one of the lineages common to a fantasy genre like dwarf or elf. A hero character's lineage informs certain hereditary traits like average lifespan, size, speed, and any special adaptations like the ability to see in the dark. Um, that's a personal thing for me. I don't understand why people are afraid to say race. That's what it is. It's literally so whatever. In any case, being able to take your stats all the way to 20, I don't know. It's just there's some stuff in here that um, they appear to have some experience points systems. I'm just doing a quick scan of this. Again, I will be doing a greater read through of this for the upcoming live stream on Sunday. But this all looks very, very standard. What I don't know that they're using any specific lore for the dwarves, for example. I'm just reading through this here. It sounds like a pretty generic dwarf because they haven't tied it to any worlds that I can see. Same thing with the elf and so on and so forth. They've got backgrounds here, which we're all familiar with backgrounds. Then we get into the talents, which represent the specific ways an adventurer has improved over the course of their adventures. Talents are divided into three categories: magic, martial, and technical. What are technical? Hold up. Scrolling down. I want to know what technical is. Magic, technical talents, polyglot. Okay, trade skills. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so this is a um, very basic thing. How many pages are here? 12 pages. It's a very simple PDF just to get people going. Um, so, I mean, it's here. Ability scores are assigned. Have these calculate the following. Spell save DC attack. Heritage let push to 0. Luck points. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know a ton about luck. Was luck in 5th edition? If it was, that might have been one of the things that I skipped over and chose not to use. Strength, X, Con, Intelligence, Wisdom, Charisma. So they're doing the standard stuff here. Hang on, I'm reading this here. Determining strength. Okay, yeah. Add 2 to one score adjusted below 16. Add 1 to one score of 17 to make it better. An average person has 10 in every ability score. PC can never have an ability score higher than 20. That's pretty high for a starting character. Um, Man, you start with 32 points. 18 is the highest ability score you can start with. Okay. So you can start with a max of 18. So that's okay. So I mean that's somewhat standard. So they're not breaking the mold here. They're taking 5th edition and saying you could be a little more powerful than you were in 5th edition. I don't know. It's a start. I don't know where they're going to go with this. Like I said, my initial gut reaction is kind of like, meh. I mean, I'm not interested in it at this point in time. I could change my mind on that as this continues to unfold. But let's put this out there and see what people think. Drop your comments down below. Let me know what you think about this system, what your thoughts are after the play testing. And if you want to talk about it in greater detail, show up for Sunday at 8 a.m. Central as we continue to do our This Week in Tabletop everything. We do it every Sunday. Like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. Support if you can with super chats, memberships, super thanks, and beyond. Don't forget you can pick up a copy of our tabletop sourcebook and the first module at our Patreon page. You can also go over to weaveavoid.com if you just want to do a standalone thing instead of a monthly sub. There's a Discord channel down below. I'll see everybody in the next video. Until then, stay safe. Happy gaming, everybody.